ISS, took up the study of this phenomenon. A few months ago, a stunning discovery was made on the Nazca Plateau in Peru, where the world's most famous giant earthen drawings are located. Japanese scientists have discovered 143 new geoglyphs. A special throne was able to find them, which was able to make a three-dimensional scan of the Earth's surface for agricultural needs. Look, these new drawings are incredible. Especially scientists were baffled by incomprehensible creatures with square heads. Proponents of the theory of ancient aliens continue to believe that the Nazca geoglyphs are still connected with the cosmos. And here are their proofs, look. This drawing was called the astronaut. And here's another strange figure, a monster with huge hands. There are 5 fingers on one hand, 4 on the other. Who are these drawings for? Moreover, the Nazca geoglyphs are far from the only giant figures whose origins scientists have yet to unravel. This is what the infernal candelabra, or trident, looks like, which is located near the Peruvian city of Pisca. The size of this figure is amazing. The height of the candelabra is almost 128 meters, the width is about 100 meters, and the thickness of the lines is from 1.5 to 4 meters. But what does this figure symbolize? And these mysterious geoglyphs are located on the Palpa Plateau. Look, unknown authors have depicted about a dozen humanoid creatures, geometric shapes, and even a drawing in the form of an 8-pointed star. Trying to explain the origin of these drawings, more and more scientists agree that in ancient times our planet was visited by highly developed civilizations, which left us these riddles. The Moorish Desert of Moradra. There is a unique geological formation of the Eye of the Sahara, which is more than 2 billion years old. This is a series of concentric rings with a diameter of about 40 kilometers, which, by the way, are visible even from Earth's orbit. For a long time, scientists believed that the rings were formed as a result of a meteorite fall, but recent studies have shown that there are no traces of a cosmic body impact. Then a sensational version appeared, which finds more and more confirmations. What if the rings in the desert are the remains of an ancient spaceport? Look, this is what the stones inside the Eye of the Sahara look like. According to scientists, they are melted at very high temperatures. This fact made us turn to another mysterious find, Tictatum, discovered in Syria. This is sand turned into glass under the influence of high temperatures, more than 2000 degrees. But how could this happen? The findings stunned. It turned out that the ancient Indian texts not only mention a certain weapon of enormous destructive power, but also directly indicate that it belonged to the gods flying their vimanas across the sky and between the stars. What, it turns out, the higher race fought on Earth billions of years ago. At the beginning of the 20th century, Indian archaeologists discovered the ancient ruins of a city on the banks of the Indus River, which they called Mohenjo-daro. According to scientists, it was one of the central cities of the Kiprop civilization. Mohenjo-daro was striking in his organization. Wide main streets are stretched as if on a ruler, identical houses, water supply, sewerage. It seemed that this culture was far ahead of the general development of mankind at that time. But what destroyed the developed state on the banks of the Indus? Having studied the geological past of the Earth, scientists hypothesize that Mohenjo-daro died as a result of an explosion comparable in power to a nuclear one. So are the battles of the gods described in ancient books really true? Scientists have long suspected that our ancestors were familiar with flying machines and even traveling to distant stars. This theory looks absurd at first glance, but every year archaeologists find more and more evidence of contacts with extraterrestrial civilizations. Images of figures in spacesuits, drawings of UFOs flying across the sky, and even traces of their landing. What do these findings mean? Who created the structures that are slowly opening up to us from under the desert sands or jungle thickets? These buildings are so incredibly reminiscent of modern airfields and spaceports. Maybe there really was a space alien base on Earth? Hundreds of thousands of tourists climb to the top of the Mexican pyramids every year. How surprised they would be to find out what a sensational discovery is hiding under their feet. According to the latest hypothesis of researchers, the shape of the Mayan pyramids with a truncated top is not a fantasy of builders and not an accident. The platform crowning the pyramid is carefully thought out and created specifically for the landing of spaceships. Even those archaeologists who were initially skeptical are forced to admit that the drawings decorating the Mayan pyramids depict flying machines. Isn't that proof? There is an opinion that dozens of similar pyramids, spaceports, are hidden under the jungles of Mexico. They have not been found yet, but they can open up to meet their creators. Is our Earth just a huge spaceport for alien ships? Then who are we with you? Is it really the maintenance staff for space travelers? Or yet the grandiose ruins of buildings of bygone centuries, the body of the hands of an unknown earthly civilization? While neighboring peoples only learned how to cultivate the Earth, its representatives were perfectly familiar with astronomy, cartography, construction, able to create perfect buildings and fly above the clouds. A tourist filmed an amazing natural phenomenon on his phone. The snow that came down opened a platform lined with perfectly smooth slabs on the slopes of the Koronasoft mountain in the Murmansk region. Who would need such a thing in the north of Russia? According to official documents, there are no military facilities here and there have never been. Very similar slabs lie on the ground near the Yundo airport. The history of this place haunts fans of mysterious theories, from where in the Gambia, one of the poorest countries of the African continent, the runway is not inferior in characteristics to the most modern world airports. The amateur video shows how perfect this coating is. There are no normal roads in the Gambia. Almost the entire population conducts subsistence farming in the villages, for whom the former British colony, surviving on peanut plantations and a few tourists, built this ultramodern airport. Thousands of years ago, there was a place for landing aircraft, not only resembling modern aircraft, but also a class of interstellar ships. Are we talking about Vimanas described in legends and capable of developing tremendous speed? Now we would say that they used jet engines for flights. The theory is confirmed by the fact that NASA has chosen Yuntam as a reserve airfield for its space shuttles. The ancient runway only needed to be cleared, covered with asphalt on top and marked. But traces of the former life of Yundam have been preserved. They can still be found today. Millennia-old polished stone slabs, tightly fitted to each other, emerge from under the new asphalt. They are noticeably different from the modern coating even in color and stretch much further. So far, researchers have not been able to reliably find out who created the airfields of antiquity and whose spaceships they were supposed to receive, but it seems that it is here that we need to look for the key to the most ancient history of mankind. At the same time, researchers are putting forward a shocking new hypothesis: all these airfields were needed to fly within the planet, and interstellar travel looks different. Take a look. Vladivostok. The eyes of the townspeople are glued to the sky. There are strange giant circles. If you look closely, they barely unwind. Nature cannot create such a thing. This is not smoke and not a trace of an airplane. Then what is it? United Arab Emirates, the city of Ain. There is a mysterious hole in the sky. Where does it lead? And this video was taken by passengers on a flight from Chicago to New York. There is a large bluish ring in the air. If you look closely, it seems that the space around it is distorted. And eyewitnesses record similar phenomena all over the world. Turkey, isn't it somewhat similar to what was recently seen in Vladivostok? Costa Rica. People run out into the streets to have time to see and take a video of something. The clouds have gathered into a luminous ring that shimmers with all colors. These phenomena are like special effects from science fiction films. They frighten and fascinate. It seems that alien ships are about to appear from mysterious portals. And it seems for good reason. More recently, ufologists have had this material at their disposal. The explanation says that everything was removed from the ISS. The sky is a giant gate, and now take a closer look. A bright object flies out of it and heads towards the ground. Many epics keep memories of the stargates through which the gods penetrated into our world. Fairy tales become true when archaeologists begin to study ancient buildings. It is believed that many of them served as such portals, and they still do. We are talking about the most famous among all such structures, Omar Meru, the Gate of the Gods in Peru. They are carved right into the rock. Their size is about 7 by 7 meters, a smooth wall with a small depression at the bottom in the center. Omar Meru was the high priest of the Temple of the Seven Rays. According to legend, during the years of the conquest, he escaped from Spanish soldiers on the shores of Lake Titicaca. It is very close. At the same time, he had a golden disc. The artifact served as the key to the ancient gate. With the help of the disc, Omar Meru opened the gate and went into the world of the gods. It is believed that he left the disc to people, and it is still kept by the priests. By the way, there is a rounded hole on the gate, in which the artifact described in the legend can fit. Modern researchers do not have a key, but they tried to launch the portal in a different way. Hazem Amani brought special equipment to the gate. He suggested that if you influence them with different radiation, you can succeed. And I was not mistaken. During the experiment, something happened. The air became hot and discharged, and plasmoids began to attack the ancient monument. The priests accompanying him fell to the ground, exclaiming, "The gates of the gods opened," after which the equipment failed. The researchers failed to look into the spirit world, but they proved that the gate is in working condition. There are a lot of structures like the Omar Meru Gate on Earth. There are even very similar to the Peruvian ones. Eastern Turkey. On the shore of Lake Van, traces of the ancient city of Rizokanilia have been preserved, and there is also a gate there. They are called the Door of Mer, the sun god. There is a version that it is possible to open a creepy passage in the rock with the help of a special spell that no one alive knows. There is also another stargate in Turkey, the territory of ancient Phrygia, the Temple of Cybele or the Mother of the Gods. According to legend, this is the door between heaven and earth. One of the most famous and controversial monuments is Stonehenge. Scientists will not come to a consensus on who built it and when. Some call it a sanctuary or a place for sacrifices, others call it an observatory, and still others call it a fake. Stonehenge marks the equinox and solstice, tracks the annual cycle of the sun. This is an accurate ancient instrument, and such objects have been erected all over the planet. Those who did it, at least accurately mastered mathematics. This is a place where the strongest anomalies are observed, which suggests that Stonehenge could be an ancient portal. They even say that there have been attempts to launch it by modern researchers. In 1971, enthusiasts gathered here, young scientists who tried to activate the Stargate in various ways. At some point, lightning began to strike over the complex, and all the participants in the experiment disappeared. The fact that Stonehenge can also be an active portal is evidenced by the fact that UFOs are often seen above it. Apparently, to this day they use these gates to enter or leave our world. And now look at this video. Above the water surface, a giant disk is Lake Michigan. And these shots were shot there, but at a different time. A cloud resembling a tsunami in shape is advancing on the lake. Ufologists are sure that this is not a natural phenomenon at all, but a veil that UFOs use to disguise themselves. And here they are in all their glory. Dozens of unidentified flying machines over Michigan. Motorists stop on the road to film this amazing sight. But why are there so many of them here? The answer to this question should be found at the bottom of the lake. Relatively recently, a structure somewhat resembling Stonehenge was found there. Researchers are sure that this is also a stargate. Ancient, but still active. Researchers of anomalous phenomena are sure that star portals on Earth were created in ancient times to populate our planet, and the homeland of man is not Earth at all. The pioneers arrived here just through such portals. They were helped in this by priests, perhaps representatives of more advanced civilizations. Gradually they left the Earth, and knowledge was lost. Today, if modern scientists are approaching these technologies, it is by chance. These frames can serve as proof of such a hypothesis. The clouds twist into a giant spiral, but it becomes really creepy when you find out that this is happening in the sky above the Large Hadron Collider. Observers were afraid that the next experiments of scientists had opened a portal to another dimension. Curiously, CERN experts themselves did not deny that it was their handiwork. They confirmed that at this time, when the launch was carried out, the sky suddenly changed color, turning crimson, a strong whirlwind of clouds rose. Whether scientists will be able to create a stargate in the laboratory is a big question. One thing is clear, our ancestors did not need colossal expensive structures for this. They took the energy for this from nature itself and knew how to apply it correctly. But on what principles do the ships themselves work for intergalactic flights? Take a look at these mesmerizing shots. A resident of the Italian city of Alessina captured a full-fledged UFO on the camera of his smartphone. At the same time, these are not blurred spots, but a clearly visible thrombotic object. He was flying at high speed and maneuvered sharply. There is no doubt about its artificial origin. Eyewitnesses said that it looked like a full-fledged military apparatus. A huge black square hovering in the sky was spotted in January in the U.S. state of Georgia. Several UFOs were filmed near the Mexican city of Tijuana. Bright glowing balls have been seen several times over the Swedish city of Strömnäs. They appeared, then disappeared, then reappeared. On the border between Russia and Finland, a fantastic golden-colored device was spotted. It slowly floated in the sky, and dozens of people saw it. High-quality UFO footage is multiplying every day. They are filmed by random witnesses and video surveillance cameras. They get into the lenses of phones and cameras. For example, a golden pyramid was removed in Texas from the window of a passing car. Ufologists have no doubt that eyewitnesses filmed another flight of guests from deep space. This is the prevailing version, but recently another sensational hypothesis has emerged. Experts believe that some of these objects may well be built on Earth, albeit using alien technologies. Take a look at these amazing shots. The shooting was taken at an American air base. In the foreground we see a strategic bomber, but in the background, right above it, a classic UFO, as most Earthlings see it. A large disc is moving slowly over the ground. Hood, thickening on top, slick shapes. This is clearly a training or test flight. Maybe a takeoff or landing test. According to rumors, the device is called TR-3 Astra. So does the US have its own flying saucers? The Cold claim that this is how it is. Firstly, we are visited by extraterrestrial civilizations. Secondly, in modern times, this has been going on for at least 70 years. Thirdly, at least since 1947, a top-secret scientific group has been working in the United States, which has been investigating extraterrestrial machines, spaceships. It was possible to study space technologies in detail because of the UFO crash near Rovell. This is perhaps the most famous and high-profile case in history. According to investigators, huge and poorly damaged fragments of the mysterious aircraft were at the disposal of the military. I grew up in California and New Mexico was just around the corner. Many people who were there at the time of the incident of 1947 were still alive at that time, and I could talk to them. I managed to find the place where Mac Brazil once discovered the wreckage of a flying ship that crashed into the ground like this, bounced off the surface and, shattering into pieces, fell 30 kilometers away. All the debris scattered over a huge area. The Roswell incident gained worldwide fame in 1978, when an interview with a direct participant in those events, Major Jesse Marcel, was published. He participated in the investigation and was sure that the authorities had done everything possible to hide the truth, and it consisted in the fact that the special services had captured almost an entire flying saucer and several bodies of dead pilots. The mysterious object was discovered by a local farmer, who also saw bright flashes in the sky shortly before. He even managed to give an interview to a radio station before he was arrested. All the details were immediately classified, and the farmer himself, a week later, being free, again told everyone that he had found a weather balloon, although in the end he could not stand it and added that the object did not look like him at all. After that, the farmer didn't say anything. The US authorities still insist on the story of the weather balloon, but Major Marcel clearly said that this theory was invented by the commander of the operation, General Ramey, just to get rid of annoying journalists. Ufologists are sure that it was the Roswell incident that gave the strongest impetus to the development of American aviation and astronautics, metallurgy and computer technology. Did the scientists actually manage to reproduce some technologies peeped at by the aliens, or did they not understand anything about them? There is no doubt that such work was carried out. Such famous inventors as Robert Oppenheimer and Wernher von Braun had access to the Roosevelt wreckage. The metal was light, almost weightless. If you put the record in a small envelope, when interacting with the environment, its corners bent. An amazing find. I started using a solution electron microscope, in which I placed this plate and discovered that the metal was a kind of titanium alloy. The researchers claim that among the military artifacts of interest were durable protective materials of pilots' clothing and microchips and fiber optic cables, lasers, night vision lenses, communication helmets, and much more. In 1997, Lieutenant Colonel Philip Corsa published a book that became a bestseller, The Shadow After Roswell. In it, he clearly stated that all the artifacts that formed the basis of these technologies were obtained by him from the wreckage of a flying saucer in a roll, after which he quietly transferred them to various laboratories. As a result, after some time, there were drastic changes in the most advanced technologies in the world, and we still feel the consequences of this. Before his death, Lieutenant Colonel Corsa said that we only know 10% of this story, the rest is still classified. There is a version according to which the surviving aliens were taken to a secret laboratory in Los Alamos. It was there that the conditions for the life of gray humanoids were created. Experts say that similar sectors could most likely be in the south of Nevada, in Sonia 51. That's what the CIA documents call the remote branch of Andrews Air Force Base 133 kilometers from Las Vegas. Everything connected with Zone 51 is shrouded in secrecy, flights over it are prohibited, it is impossible to get there. Its very existence has been recognized relatively recently. Soviet satellites photographed the base only in 1988. However, nothing remarkable could be found there. The entire main infrastructure of the base is located underground. We are compiling a database of evidence that secret research has been conducted since the late 40s. We have thousands of pages of documents from the CIA, the US Air Force and other departments, testimonies from people who worked on these projects who decided to tell about it. Zone 51 was originally created as a laboratory, a factory for the creation and testing of a new type of aircraft. It is possible that it was there that the amazing shots of the American flying saucer were made. Experts believe that, most likely, American scientists still continue to get practical results in their alien research. Moreover, as soon as military experts began to study the UFO phenomenon, hypotheses arose at the same time that these devices can move not only in space, but also in time. These theories have been around for at least half a century. How far our modern science has advanced in the development of a time machine since then? This photo taken by NASA specialists using the Event Horizon Telescope radio telescope system made a real sensation, because this is the first ever image of a black hole. Just imagine, this supermassive collapsar is located millions of light-years away from Earth and is larger than the solar system. Scientists are convinced that this discovery is not only a step towards understanding how our world works, but also a chance to finally find an answer to the question, is it possible to travel in time? Everyone knows that the Earth is capable of creating gravity, which allows us to stand on our feet, that the Sun creates gravity, which allows the Earth to be in orbit, but most importantly, light can also create gravity. This is the key. I realize that it is very easy to see logically, if gravity affects time and light can create gravity, it means that light can affect time. By using light, you can actually control time. This is the basis of my idea of creating a time machine. In recent years, more and more physicists believe that time travel is possible thanks to temporary tunnels or wormholes. Imagine that you have a sheet of paper, pierce two holes at its different ends and bend the sheet so that the holes are opposite each other. Connect them and you will get a tunnel tube with two funnels at the entrances. This is the wormhole. It allows you to quickly overcome the distance in time and space. A hypothetical traveler gets into such a tunnel and simply disappears, then inexplicably appears in another space and time. Theoretically, it is possible to travel in time with the help of cosmic strings. That's what physicists call long lines of matter. They are something like the folds of the universe that appeared during its creation. These folds intersect each other and can create a time loop that allows you to return to the past. That's just how to get into this loop. One mysterious story happened in 1911. A train with 106 tourists left the Roman railway station. In the pawn shop, the train, having entered the tunnel, disappeared without a trace. And for the past century, this composition has been appearing and also suddenly disappearing in various corners of the planet. The last time this ghost train was seen was in the tunnel under the channel. Moreover, years later, passengers of the train appeared in the capital of Mexico, who, when detained, claimed that they had come to Mexico City from Rome by train. What was it, if not falling into a time loop? If time travel is possible, it remains only to create a special ship capable of accelerating to the speed of light. But what kind of fuel will it run on? Just imagine how much energy it takes to accelerate a spaceship like that. Some scientists suggest using antimatter-based fuel, but it still needs to be obtained, however, as well as antimatter itself. So far, the theories of possible time travel are being broken down, but the results of a simple experiment conducted by the famous British theoretical physicist Stephen Hawking. On the 28th of June, 2009, he organized a party for time travelers, but he made an announcement about this event only the next day on the internet. No one showed up for the meeting at the specified time. According to Hawking, the failed experiment confirms that time travel is impossible.